Some of the players there you can see playing at the TNC place, but I know, yeah, Febby is not with the rest of the team. I don't know if it's just him or also Zhao Yu, maybe.
I'm seeing, by the way, from people that you are. SDK is not. I mean, look, he has insta stun. He can push towers.
Right, but
10
like,
seconds remaining.
where's your damage?
Yeah, once again, it's
Deja vu.
It's the
Yeah.
same problem as last game.
Yeah.
Who's like Morphling, right? You blink, you use your stun on Morphling. Who's actually killing him? Where, like,
gonna be the lifestealer. It's really the only source of damage they have.
but I don't even know if Lifestealer is gonna be able to output enough damage to kill Morphling. I mean, this is 23 Savage Morphling. Like, you gotta respect. Like, if this guy has any vision or any idea, he's gonna get off Strength Morph.
Yep.
The ability that they have to kill him on TNC Predator is like so low. And what if he just rushes a Lincoln Sphere? Then your only form of initiation is actually just completely gone.
You've just jinxed him.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's always gonna have to jinx more. I'm worried for him now. I thought it was a perfect morph game, but you know,
My bad,
you have not learned about the caster curse yet, but we're gonna quickly learn.
I'm a caster blesser. That's my.
Okay.
I'm a new talent. I'm actually anti you other casters.
I'm anti you other casters.
Yeah, well, I'm
it makes sense. You are a streamer after all, so we get the Timbersaw last pick for T1 here, and between this and Morphling, you have two heroes that TNC hasn't really answered. It does seem like a pretty free Timbersaw game for similar reasons to the Morphling.
Yeah.
It's it's a bit on the greedier side when it comes to off lanes, but I think that's where Carl playing in mid Mars, he's just going to take a bit less farm. It's going to be the playmaker. I mean, we saw last game. That's what Carl loves to do. So there's no reason Mars doesn't suit him. And the fact that it feels like they used that 10th pick of the draft effectively, which is something TNC couldn't do in game 1 with it.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, Chipo? What do you think is going to happen this game?
I think 23 Savage is going to be 23 Savage, and Godspeed TNC.
All right. Gods, is that 10% chance alive?
It's maybe gone down, maybe 6 or 7%. I mean, I don't even know if 23 Savage has to carry this game. I feel like Cuckoo may just take over.
Yep.
Morphling, I mean, he will carry the game, but I feel.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to hear what the casters themselves have to say as we move it over to our favorite Australian and honorary Australian duel, which is MOP and John X Fire.
Thank you very much.
T1, they've got the specials out. We heard the panel, we heard Cheap say it, Savage Morphling, even Cuckoo Tim. You know, that's a throwback we don't get to see too often, but something he specializes in. So I'd say T1, like, I think we saw the reaction of Whitemon, we saw how happy he was with the draft. It shows the confidence of T1 there.
You may not have much time, John. These teams, they want to go out at level 1 again, it seems. But never mind, Cuckoo. It's kind of debating me. Go on, Jonathan. You were saying, you were even calling out. We were watching the draft, and you were saying, once you saw that Dark Willow, you wanted the Savage Morphling to come out. You kind of predicted it to be there.
I mean, it's just great. You've got the Ags combination down the line. I mean, you can always go evilly to burst people down, but the Ags combination with Willow and even the Tim. Right? You turn into Timbersaw, you've got two tanky frontliners just zipping around doing pure damage. There's a lot of value here for the Savage Morph, and again, it's a throwback all the way back when Savage showed up in 2017 in TI Quals with Genesis. Like, this was the hero he was on, right? This was the hero he was known for along his server, so it's good to see T1 bring it out. We see it sometimes, but not too often. I think they're going to have a good time in T1 TNC. A lot of gelling issues. They have a low chance, as God's pointed out. I think everyone wants to cheer for the underdogs, but it's a tough road ahead for them.
Yeah, it's a tough road for Playhard right now, John. He's going to go through the maze. So far, he'll get a bit of damage off, but in the end, we'll have to let Playhard go. Speaking of Playhard, he had a very tough game last time around. That Nyx Assassin just not really having any impact as the Pos 4. Do you like the Grimstroke a bit better? Do you feel like this offlane should pan out a little bit better for TNC this time around, or do you think T1 have it in the bag?
I think the Grimstroke can have a little bit more impact in the sense that it's easier to pull off the combinations for the Grimstroke. You can just kind of set up for your life stealer to run in, set up for your DK to run in with a blink stun combination down the line. They are kind of switching things around, which is something TNC does. So sometimes Febby does take the IO off lane and runs a much more aggressive duo, and we will see Playhard hanging around with Young God here. So there's a little bit more presence in the safe lane and a lot more presence up top, as you can see. Febby just kind of tethering up Xiaoyu, trying to ensure that lane runs well. And I think when it comes down to it, the key thing for TNC is when Febby has the IO, he knows how to play that on edge. He plays very sacrificial. He goes into that early holy locket and builds up from there. So I think giving Febby that priority in farm to build into that healing and sustain is definitely what TNC really needs to do to hit that spike first.
Whitemon's being a real pest already though on that Ogre. One of those things when you play this hero, you can just kind of run heroes down, but now Xiaoyu is going to try and go on to 23 Savage. They won't actually have enough to get through the strength morph. Savage, he'll be just fine. Because you want to get as much harassment in as you can before that Morphling does hit the level 3 mark. That's when it does start to feel rather impossible to actually kill him off. I'll try to turn back onto Whitemon, but he's going to be just fine. Anki Ogre, okay to walk away. And of course, the last lane we haven't really talked about, John. Mid lane, you've got Karl and Yoe against each other. This lane, I kind of predict to be a little bit boring between these two, as you do have a Dragon Knight who just doesn't ever die. Do you predict anything happening here, or it's just standard kind of trading lane?
That's a standard trading lane. You can see Yoa skipping out from the Breed Fire. You can just run up, get the stun, secure range creep, get some harassment onto Karl. Karl's fairly tanky as well. You can clear out the creep wave with the spear and with God's Rebuke. So it's a static farming lane. I think when it comes down to it, rune control is going to be a bit more important for Karl, so that's something that T1's going to have to watch out for, just grabbing those runes to ensure Karl can spam out his spells. Beyond that, it's the level 6 sparks we're looking for, the early arena, the early dragon form to get the push and fight going for both sides is really it. And beyond that, you're just going to sit in that lane, farm up, maybe get a support or two to help you secure water runes and power runes, but that's it.
Fair enough. All quiet across the map so far, 2.5 minutes in. Looks like, at the very least, Xiaoyu's having a much better time on this Pangoa. Hell, even the bot lane going decently here for our lifestealer. You do expect Cuckoo to be able to apply a lot of pressure on this Timber as he does get the XP up. At least for now, he is going to sit back and not overextend. He'll just wait for those levels. Especially once you start approaching that level 4, level 5 mark, things start to get very scary for these strength heroes. Of course, Young God being no exception here on the Line Stealer. Now they try and play around it. I suppose you do have that nice little movement speed buff from Playhard with the Inkswell if you do get run down by Cuckoo, but it's a Timber. He's very mobile. It's very hard to actually close the gap and just kind of get away from Cuckoo if he does have his eyes set on you. And say that about every core hero though for TNC. It's a bit of a rough situation here against the Timber.
Yeah, but that's where the beauty of that last pick comes out for T1. Just a lot of strength heroes to rip through, a lot of ways to mitigate some of that healing coming out from Yara to get some burst damage on and counteract that sustain. So I think Cuckoo's going to be a big part once he hits the level spikes. I think the passive lane still works out for Cuckoo. He has a better time clearing out the wave. You know, Young God's a very single target focused here on the life stealer, so he can't really harass back. He just focuses on the CS, maybe gets a couple of right clicks off. Timbersaw can be susceptible to the passives, but that does take levels for Young God to really rip through the armor. And that just means, again, another passive lane bot, passive lane mid. It's only really the top lane which can get exciting, but we have already hit that level spike on Savage. He's level 4, so you can just easily shift around with attribute. Probably not in any danger unless they really commit hard here on TNC.
Absolutely. We have a TP coming in here, Zephyr. He's going to join up that top lane, so maybe a bit of a gank attempt to come here from T1. Still very early. I mean, you've only got level 2 on the Dark Willow, but you do have the Curse Crown and you do have the Bramble, so plenty of control if Zephyr is able to lock onto someone. I believe, of course, they probably will look for the IO, but bot lane, Young God, just barely surviving on the Lion Stealer. Cuckoo does begin to get very aggressive with the Whirling Death. It's one of those things, you leave Young God alone, he is not going to be able to sustain himself in this lane. Cuckoo's at level 4 now. In the meantime, the top lane, they've made the jump in onto the Iron now, so Febby is going to be in trouble, does immediately go down. Xiaoyu, he is at least going to try and trade here with Zephyr, but it's not looking great for him. He'll have to go for a run, does try with the swashbuckle, but in the end, Zephyr's fine. In fact, they'll keep up the chase now with the Curse Crown out. Xiaoyu, he doesn't really have a great way out. We're trying to walk into that T1 tower, but the chase is going to continue as now the Brambles does lock him down. He'll try to eat a Fairy Fire. Whitemon, how far do you want to go? Not far enough for the Ignite. Will be more than enough for the Ogre. No problem here for T1. In the meantime, mid lane, they were trying to make a play onto Carl. At least for now, he is just fine. Playhard tries to wrap around, maybe get an Inkswell stun off, but Carl, he hides in the fog and he's going to be able to survive forward. In fact, Whitebot and Zephyr do move into the side now. Yoe is going to try and move forward on the Ogre, but the arena is down. Carl will initiate right onto that Dragonite. They're trying to heal him up with the Bevy, but he's dropping rather low. The heat even more very fires. Inkswell's there as well. Yoe, he'll keep the chase up onto Whitebot. It might have something as he puts the hand up and he does get the Ogre down. The persistence does pay off from TNC. They'll be able to get a bit more chip damage off onto this tier 1 mid tower.
What a bounty!
Get a little bit more value from that Dragon Form. That's the level 6 spike we're looking for. It's a lot of commitment from TNC though. Three supports mid, bringing up the side lanes. You already talked about the Young God kind of struggling up against Cuckoo. He's now level 5, level 3 reactive, just a level 2 Whirling Death, enough to zone out the Young God quite a fair bit. And that's going to be an issue. To kind of make this work for TNC, they need to secure that mid tier 1. They're going to have to wait for the next Dragon Form on Yoe and take that objective they want to open up. They've committed a lot of wards here as well, Cliff Ward and Ramp Ward, just to ensure the movements from T1 are red. So I think that investment will have to pay off. TNC will have to focus in on mid. Once Yoe is ready, they've got to bring the numbers there to take that objective out.
Oh, that they absolutely do. Still a 1-2 right now. Very slight net worth lead for T1, but nothing to write home about. See Yoe just continuing to persistently hit that tier 1 mid, but top lane, Xiao Yu. He's going to be in a bit of danger as the swashbuckle is away, but Savage is on the chase, and now the Bramble will lock him down. Xiao Yu, again, between a rock and a hard place, is not going to be able to get himself out. In the meantime, though, mid lane again, they'll make the jump in onto Carl, but he's going to survive. In fact, now Cuckoo, he does rotate in a nice arena. Carl right on target, and Cuckoo, he'll just shred through the DK. No issues here at all. They trust Cuckoo to get the job done. Tips out from Carl, and well, Yoe, he tried, but a bit of wishful thinking there to try and go after that mark.
Favored by the gods.
Yeah, if you don't have the IO combination in hand, that DK will get ripped to shreds by the team. Heck, even if the IO was there, I'm not sure if you have enough regen on Febby to really outlast that burst damage. So that's where the beauty of that pin comes in. It just manages to take control. With or without the IO around, TNC is going to struggle a bit with all these strength heroes. And T1 again in very comfortable spot in this game, like 1-4, 1k lead their way, freest lane of Savage's life so far, level 7 already. Gonna be rushing the Lincoln Sphere first for some protection from the instant stun. From there you're gonna be really well protected. You can see TNC again, like grouping up 3 heroes mid. They've got the Dragon Form almost ready to go. Again, they kind of lost out on that opportunity earlier because they split up. They still want that mid tower to be gone. It's just the sidelines get punished so hard by leaving them alone. Like Young God's just chased out of lane. Cuckoo just runs up. He's got the armor. He's got the damage. You can't allow your life stealer to just miss out on this much farm.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate TNC trying to get that mid tier 1 because it is going to cease the aggression that happened in game 1 against T1. But I mean, you are sacrificing quite a bit in the side lanes to make that happen. Very least, Young God right now does have some decent net worth, 3rd place in the ground, but like you mentioned, Cuckoo, every chance he gets will continue to chase down this life stealer, making sure he knows he is not welcome in this safe lane, as again, you see the chase down. Young God forced to rage up, now he needs a way out, because Cuckoo, he might just keep chasing him. But there's no real reason not to. This is kind of the job of Cuckoo anyway. He won't go too far. You look back at that mid lane, he started again. That mid tier 1, getting very unhealthy now. Cuckoo will be forced to rotate as Yoe tries to move back in. They do get the stun off. Rolling Thunder's going to be there, not commit. On the Carl, got the Rolling Thunder. They've got the stuns off, but can they get the kill Carl? He is still alive. He finally gets speeding it down just for the nick of time. And Febby now, he's stuck up with Yoe. Yoe, he might just run away and leave the IO to die, but he is so far low at the moment. And Febby's starting now the car through. Barely landing from Cuckoo. They'll move on to Xiao Yu. Tips out to the grave from Carl. And nothing works out here. For TNC, they are just trying to get themselves out. Savage has joined on that morphling. They'll go after the Pango, they'll secure the kill. Young God, he is trying to at least get a support for their trouble, but he's not even going to find that as play hard. Will be another one to drop. Young God, I mean, all he can do is hit them a few times. But it's not really spreading to T1. They move in with their own siege creep now, and they might find the first T1 tower of the game.
it up. And heavy commitment coming through here from TNC. That was 4 heroes mid.
Radiant
To take the tier 1, the fight just doesn't line up. They have the durability with the IO DK, but they don't have the team fight control. Like, they've got Rolling Thunder, they've got Soulbind now on Play Hard, but he doesn't have it leveled up. So your control to keep them down, your burst damage to eat through some of the heroes on T1 is just not there. And the commitment from TNC is not just in the heroes. Like, we had those double ramp wards, we had even another ramp ward near the southern area as well. And TNC just committing so many resources mid, still not finding tower. That's bad news. T1 works the rest of the map. T1 still has control of their triangle, control of their top jungle, control of bot lane. They can farm anywhere and not get punished. It's just very readable what TNC is doing, committing so heavily on mid. You need to kind of change things up. Buy some space out for Young God, try to get the life steal to at least hit the armlet timing. They are trying, but putting out a lot of spells down bot.
Ball lane, Zephyr, he's already got the rage out, and now the arena is there. Carl, he's found another great target, the bed limit. They just run uphill to the well to allow Febby to keep his cause alive. As Carl, he's feeling like he's in a great mood today, John. He's just tipping absolutely everyone. Another kill out for the Mars. 3k net worth advantage now, and this is where things start to get very, very south. D1, they're getting aggressive. You're still looking for that mid-tier 1 tower here for your TNC, but it looks like they've left it alone for now, and well, Cuckoo's going to be there to defend anyway. They're just kind of stuck at the moment.
Radiant's bottom tower
Yeah, and
is
we've
under
kind of
attack.
seen this kind of play style with Timbersaw before. In a different tournament, I think it was JG we saw, actually, that played the Timbersaw down mid and just kept running down the mid, keeping pressure in the mid lane. So that push that TNC wants, that mid lane is just going to naturally shove in now, Mike, and they're always going to have to respond if they don't want their own tower falling. This just keeps the movement of TNC in check. They're going to have to commit heroes here. Xiao Yu's already stuck in this lane, and Xiao Yu's the big part of making some plays happen. They're going to try to go for it.
Oh no, he dropped right into the triples. Oh, that's unfortunate. Xiao Yu is going to drop. Carl's got a DD route, so it's no problem. They go into that T1 mid tower, and they've got it. No problems here for T1.
Bounty.
Play hard. They get caught by Whitebot.
Radiant's middle tower
Ignite
is
out.
under attack.
Blast, he should be in range very, very soon, but the team's not around. It won't really matter though, John, because they found the stacks in the triangle now, so Carl will
Radiant's
happily take
middle
those
tower
away.
is under attack.
TNC, it just feels like they're losing absolutely
Radiant
everything at the
are
moment.
scanning.
Just can't protect any objective on the map. From this dire end, hell T1, they want to go for a fight, it seems. More than happy to try and force something.
Dire's top tower is
Yoe
under
and Play
attack.
Hard, they both trying to back out in time. They've just made it.
Still using up a lot of time from TNC. Losing out the stacks is huge because they're so far behind in farm, especially under cores, that they need some sort of catch-up mechanic. And instead, T1 builds up an even bigger lead. They're trying to play down bot here, you know, Febby and Young God trying to get them to push in with the IO and Lifesteal.
Yeah, nice rage jump from Young God. Just for the nick of time as the spear was just about to connect, and Young God, he'll be fine to run away. But even if you miss that, it's kind of reaffirming the idea that you're just never safe as this line stealer. Because Young God, he knows that. The way this game's gone, kind of surprised that he's actually managed to get to 5.5k net worth, considering how much pressure Cuckoo has been applying. But I suppose when you compare that to 23 Savage, who's at 7.3k net worth, I suppose it doesn't really compare. Because mid lane, they found Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu, he's got Swash up in 2. He might make it out of this. The first round's going to be there. He'll commit the Swash. He'll try to Rolling Thunder away, but the spear is there from Carl. They will allow nothing
Dire's
for Xiao
bottom
Yu.
tower is under
Top
attack.
lane, we only have Play Hard. They're going to try and make the jump in on the Savage. That'll be a massive pick-off. They've even got the reload piece. They've got a great pick-off for themselves, but now Cuckoo, he'll just come in with the transfer out, just chasing down Yoe. They need some help, and the help is incoming. Play Hard will be focused down now on the Grimstone, but the reload away is there, but however, they left the DK. Yoe's in trouble. He's been completely left alone. But they saved the Grimstone, John, but I'm not sure it's worth the trade.
They saved more than
Radiant's
Grimstroke.
top
There
tower
was an
is under
infest coming
attack.
through from Young God, so it's a double
Dire's
retreat.
bottom tower is
And
under
that does make it worthwhile. But look at Carl, maybe a bit deep here.
Maybe. He's a pretty tanky boy at the moment. He's been slowed up so hard, but the problem is Cuckoo's rotated again. They'll drop the arena. They might find Febby, but Cuckoo now, he's taking a lot of damage. Young God, he needs the gold desperately, and he'll get it. You just see his net worth shoot up, John. Second in net worth now, only about 700 gold behind Savage, but Savage has jumped in. He'll go for an easy kill onto Febby. We'll have to leave Young God alone. I'm gonna say I do love the fact TNC, they aren't
Dire's
being
middle tower
back,
is under
getting
attack.
aggressive now.
They know there's still an opening here. They punish T1 for going a bit deep. No chance to reset for T1 in that defense. They get punished for it. And their mid
middle
T1
tower
does get
has
denied
been
off. So
denied.
even though you don't get the goal, the map control kind of stabilizes here for TNC. Gives them a little bit more breathing room in their triangle and their jungle, just a bit more. Allows them to evenly contest Roche to an extent as well. So that is a bit of a win for TNC, and they even have the net worth lead. As you said, Mike, we saw that net worth skyrocket for Young God with those kills. T1 still hold a 2k lead, but your lifestealer's not lagging too far behind. So we're seeing some keys for TNC, but then that one really does allow them to initiate as well.
Oh, nice walk top lane. He's going to get division out onto his fourth, but Whitemon might just drop, or maybe not. No, he does. They
Dire's
barely get enough damage
structures
off.
are
The Terrorize was off the mark.
Dire's
And now
top
Yoe
tower is under
and
attack.
Xiaoyu can get to work on that top T1 tower. On lane in the meantime, Savage.
Radiant's bottom
Well, he's going to get
tower
jumped
is
here by
under
Young
attack.
God.
Dire's top tower
He's
is
going to take a
falling.
lot of damage, but Xiaoyu's coming in from the side with the Rolling Thunder. When he pulled away, Savage, how do you get out of this one? Full range with the line steal, but the damage with the right fix is going to be enough. Morphling has gone too far.
Dire
Just
are
way
scanning.
too confident there from Savage. Young God does eventually get the kill going. Top lane, however, Yoe. He's going to end up going down to the DK. But now the relocate. Young God is there once again with the IO. They'll make the jump in onto Carl. Carl, how do you survive this one? He'll try to go for the arena spear, but nothing connects. He tries to run out now. You've got the infest. Not quite enough damage though. Carl does able to toggle and get himself out. Still though, great kills across the map here for TNC.
Finding the isolation, picking them off one by one almost in a row.
Is under
And
attack.
Zephyr now in trouble. He got stunned up by the Inkswell of Play Hard. And Young God, he'll pick up another kill. In fact, Play Hard will take it this time.
Time for T1 to kind of reel in that solo aggression a bit. They play really strong as a team, but when they
Radiant's
split
bottom tower
up,
is under
TNC
attack.
can bear the numbers. You know, they can infest play with relocate, they can bring in 3 heroes from across the map if in the right spot and just turn that around against T1. So T1 has to watch themselves, maybe build up a little bit more farm
Radiant
here,
structures
especially
are
on I think
fortified.
Cuckoo and Savage really need to kind of hit those spikes. They've got the Lincolns to protect on Savage now. But I think you need to scale more on that Tim because he's feeling a bit squishy once the numbers are there.
Absolutely. So we'll find out how squishy right now. They make the jump in again. Yoe is there with the Dragon Tail into the Rolling Thunder, but he'll use up and trying to survive throughout all this. They've got so much control. Cuckoo, he'll actually keep me with the chains out, and it looks like he might just make it. Oh, Cuckoo. The confidence to go to the chain TP and the immediate tip out onto Xiaoyu.
Oh, you love to see it. Cuckoo playing on edge, doesn't manage to
Radiant's
secure
bottom
that
tower
bot tier
has
1. It
been
is denied
denied.
off by Febby. But that again, that's equalizing map control for both sides. I don't think T1 minds too much. Still have a slight net worth lead. And with all of that focus on Tim, you are buying space out for Savage. So he's not being rotated on. He's not the one being infest, relocated on top of. And you are buying time for your win condition to actually build up. So it's a good move from T1. TNC, you know, they're finding openings here. They're starting to build up, especially with Yoe and the Blink. Once you have that BK beyond the DK, that's when things can really kick into gear for TNC. I think that's when they're going to look to force even bigger fights out, try to get control, try to get the top game. I think for TNC, they could
Jump
jump
in.
in a little.
And they've got another kill here, Whitemon. It's not the biggest kill in the world, but you take what you can get. Just kind of claw your way back as TNC, and again, they're just doing a fantastic job.
Radiant
Just being
are
so
scanning.
aggressive with these relocates here from Febby and Xiaoyu. Cuckoo, he was spotted out top lane as well here with Young God, but Young God, he won't have the help to try and go after the Timber again, especially after what happened last time. We'll just leave him be. Only a 3k net worth deficit here for TNC. Not too bad of a game thus far.
Spark of vitality.
If they want to keep it up, they'll smoke up with Xiaoyu and play hard towards the north in that dire jungle. But it seems though T1, they may have read the movement. Rotated up 4 heroes here to get ready for this contest. Whitemon, he just respawned, but he is in position to break the smoke again. Savage, he's thought about turning around and trying to go for the fight. They'll let Whitemon die. TNC. They find an objective out of this. They've got a GD route available outside the Roshan pit. You know what that means, John?
Oh, God.
Into the Roshan we go.
Always, every single time, Mike, especially when casting with you, it just comes out. And TNC gets to work. They've got damage to sustain. T1 does have some counterfight here, especially if Carl makes his way there, but he's a bit far. He needs to stall out to get the group up. They are doing a good job just pressuring Young God in and out, and it looks like they're not comfy with fully committing anymore. They know T1's aware, they've got to play it safe, and T1 using the time well. You know, Savage is still farming, he's still not dying. He will have his Manta up soon, so he's very well protected on that Morph with Manta and Lincoln Sphere up. Very defensive build up, straight into what looks to be the Daedalus next. He's just going to go for the right-click build, and eventually the Ags with Dark Willow with the Daedalus up. Shadow Realm right-clicks, Mike. That's when it gets silly. T1 going to be playing for the long game here.
And that's what we're waiting for, John. But we love to see. If you get that axe up, things get very, very silly. T1, they'll keep tabs on the Roshan. Not willing to allow TNC to take that away for free. Naturally, TNC, they'll do the exact same thing in that Radiant Triangle. Just hang around. Keep the farm going on Young God, but most importantly, stay around the Roshan pit. Always be aware of what's going on. Let's just spam the Stroke of Fate here from Playhard to get the vision, just in case T1 trying to do something a little bit sneaky. The team really biting the bait from each other, those. Never mind, we do have a smoke up. TNC, 5-man smoke. It's a little bit hard to approach that Dire jungle, though. They are watching all the stairways into that Dire jungle, but now it's going to be another 5-man smoke out. T1, they want to try and wrap around. Ring around Rosie we go. T1 will completely avoid TNC. TNC right on their tails, but not quite close enough to break a smoke. They'll just kind of trade places here between each other. Now you looking to move up to that high ground. Savage, he's around. Whitemon, he'll break the smoke. Infest immediately out of the Pango. Q just kind of baiting with the chains in as now they jump in. Jiayu forces the BKB out from cover. No one's going. He's been called out immediately. They don't want it to die like this, but he's gone. Just so darn quick with the flying turn on the Savage with the Valiant control out from that rolling thunder from Jiayu, but nobody's dying. Absolutely nobody going down here from T1 as now they get to spin around. Savage, he'll keep chasing down Bevy and Young God. They'll go towards the south. They want the bigger target, but towards the north they've got Jiayu. Gotta be your Pango gone. In fact, Young God, he'll try for the range TP out. He's gonna make it. Now Roshan's open at T1, they'll have no problems moving their way in. Get that Roshan started. I've got to say, Savage is not looking too healthy. In fact, DNC, they did make their way back in now. They are still hanging around. They may have the time to try and reinitiate this Roshan pit.
They could try to be sneaky, but I think without your DK in the area, it's going to be the first Roche going the way of T1. They've got protection on Savage now with the Aegis up. They've had a hard time killing them off with 1 life, with all the defensive tools. 2 lives, kind of out of question. TNC going to be knocking themselves a bit. They played super cautious when they had the DD in the Roche pit because of Kufi constantly spamming out the Chakram and Zephyr spamming out the Bramble Maze. They missed out on an opportunity. T1 now have a 6k lead, and they're just holding the triangle. They have good vision in this area, good ramp boards and clip boards right now to spot movement out here.
Victorious side, Young God. They won't be able to force the rage out of him, so they won't go in for the kill attempt. He always had the infest anyway in case Young God needed it. TNC back in that position where they're just going to try and create space and get that farm up. You're nowhere near out of the game yet, but you are 7k behind, and that's not really a position you'd like to be in if you're TNC. See Young God, he's going to try and work towards the Satanic. Savage still working on towards that Eye of Skadi for now.
Radiant
Now the blink finally up for Carl, which is, I mean, we're 24 minutes in, he's finally got a blink available, just hasn't needed it up until this point. See if T1 want to try and go for a blink reveal with the smoke here, but they'll actually just slowly make their way over that bot lane, join up with Carl and hope that this bait works here with the Mars, but in the end TNC, they will TP up, not interested in trying to force a team fight. T1 once again just kind of chasing TNC around. The spot out Jiayu. Ignite's going to be there. Savage. Force out the roller. Gonna be about it, but they'll chase down the others. Yoe trying to run away. He's going to be just fine. Well, is he? Gazetta now. He's going to find Febby on the IO. Terrorize. He's going to be completely with the Febby. But finds the TP up a Kugu. He's got the Yule set up. So I mean, Febby will be left behind on the IO. Another nice solid kill here for T1 as even top lane Carl is looking at Young God. You just need a spear to land before that rage does come out, and Young God, he has no idea if the spear does come in. Savage, he'll join it as well. Young God, he'll rage up, he'll need a TP ASAP. The right click damage is looking pretty damn high in Savage. He'll be able to get it off in time. Young God just barely unable to get out with his life intact. That one's gonna hurt for TNC.
Just a great play again with the information here on T1. They've got the wards to sustain this kind of aggression. But the movement to even spot out Yoa here.
If they do, Yoa 5 seconds away from the TP. He won't need it though, there's no chase to come. T1, I mean, 10k net worth advantage now, still holding on to the Aegis on Savage. No real reason to try and rush anything. Got just so much control on this map. You see, I mean, anyone that shows in a lane right now, Cuckoo is literally just going to chase them down every time on this Timber. He just does not care.
He has a lot of counter control with Yules. He's got Kaya Sands running, some stat resist, a little bit more magic damage coming through as well. So he can just pressure the lanes by himself, play solo for the most part. He's going to take a 4-5-man rotation behind the team. Even then, it's not a guarantee at this point. With all the space T1 gets, Mike, they clear out the top tier 2. They take full control of the triangle area, lock down the Roche when it comes up again. And Savage should be finishing up that Scotty soon. So the right clicks for more for amping up, even more stats for Savage to juggle around. And T1 will just smoke, but there's no vision to spot that out. TNC just don't have the info to play against the aggression of T1 right now.
They saw Yoa, so see play hard. Happily just change drives especially in this tower. They can try and find Marky there with the arena. They'll get 1 kill, but they want that Dragon Knight. Yoa, no TP available for 30. He's got a blink dagger. He'll try and find a way out, and that's a nice juke. Not from Yoa, and it may be just enough.
Radiant's bottom tower
And it will
is
be.
under attack.
We'll let him go. You only end up losing that support Grimstroke. Net worth, it continues to increase the way of T1. Savage now. Have a look for a bit more with this Iron Scotty now up. He'll squad out Young God. He's got Bebby there on the IO, and that should mean he's safe enough to just walk out of there.
He managed to bail out in time, but the map is still under control of T1. TNC don't have much leverage to really leave the protection of these tier 2s at this point. Their bot jungle is warded up, their triangle is just taken control by T1, and now they're getting pressure. We need to fight against this.
They're going to try and force the fight right now. Once that Willow, they've got him. Zephyr immediately down to Down Savage. The range up initially with that line skill firm goes back in onto Young God. The range is there, Young God, but now he's fine. In the meantime, towards the south, Cuckoo dropping very low on that Timber. Still dropping low. Needs a way out. The one thing towards the north, but now Young God. He needs his own way out. He'll barely get the invest off onto Yoa, and Savage is still playing with his HP. McCall, he's been left behind on that mark, but it won't matter. He's a tanky target himself. He'll get down Zhao Yu. This Young God continues to chase the target. The job done. Back in on the Cuckoo. They are still trying to kill this Timbersaw off, but he has the interceptor available. Dukes out the stun, but eventually does end up going down. Now T1, not going to be confident to stick around. We'll have to leave Wombo behind. I'd say that's a pretty successful team fight from TNC.
Managed to split it up, isolate a few core heroes, managed to burst down a Cuckoo. I think that's the big issue there. Cuckoo was very low from the offset. They did manage to get a lot of healing reduction coming through there with the Spirit Vessel on Xiao Yu. Now they might find more. Savage is a bit slippery. It's a hard one to lock in. But they are starting to get some moves out. I think that's what we need to see from TNC. Just go for the isolation plays, burst down the front line, and you have a lot of sustain now from Febby. So you can put Young God up front, play with a very defensive style with Infest, and just keep resetting. Man, you have a lot of lives to give with the healing coming through from TNC, with an IO, with a life stealer. You can just kind of go in and out, and I think that's, again, what TNC needs to do. T1, maybe reel in the aggression a bit. That was not the fight to take. I think if Savage had the Aegis up, they could have looked to play a lot more aggressive, but it expired beforehand. It's just very well timed from TNC finding that opening there, Mike.
That it is. A bit of downtime now as both teams that will wait out that next Roshan. And I say downtime, but either side may decide to get aggressive if they wish. Like T1 just kind of slowing down though, not really wanting to give too much net worth back the way of TNC, which is fair. And God, he's getting to that point where he's starting to hit very hard on this life stealer. Because with that Scotty up, it makes Savage's life a lot more difficult in this Morphling. Some decent strength morphs off. We are going to have a 3-man smoke now, TNC. They get aggressive once again. On through the mid lane, Cuckoo is going to be there with Savage and Whitebox. They've got the backup if necessary. The way TNC are going right now, it looks like they're not really going to find anything. In fact, now T1 counter smoke with a 5-man smoke up. Carl just got his Satanic up, so a bit of a power spike for the Mars as they may have just seen Young God. Cuckoo will kind of reveal he's smoked up though. T1. They may not be able to. Oh, Young God. Don't go for that creep wave, sir. This could be very, very dangerous, but the smoke has broken now on Cuckoo. Oh. Walk around, baby. He's gonna get caught out on Dusty. Spear. Not gonna land yet, but there it is. The IO automatically gone as Young God. He's now paced down here by Savage. Yoe, he's gonna try and jump in. In fact, Xiao used there and Bevy's brought back. They will go to the team fight. They will at least find 2 supports in their trouble. So you kill Bevy. You force a buyback, but they get 2 supports anyway. In fact, they're going for more now. Savage has been caught out. He'll try to race to walk away, but Cuckoo will jump in. They're going to try and force the fight. Savage immediately gets the dieback onto Bevy. Xiao Yu now. Very slow, but she keeps this fine as Young God will try to go back in. Who are you aiming? It is going to be Carl on that Mars. Carl, he'll get the spear off. To armor boggling. Still trying to survive. Just barely alive in fact. But now he's still getting out there, Carl. How do you not die throughout all this? Young God finally takes him down, but it does cost them quite a bit. These armor toggles from Carl's been a real problem here for TNC.
Dire's bottom tower.
Nevertheless, a pretty even team fight between the 2 teams.
Yeah, it still works out for TNC, even though it does cost them a dive back there on the IO. They do manage to get some good punishment. Killing off Carl is big, gives him a nice enough word swing, and they protect Young God, who does finish up his Satanic. He's going to be going into the Basher next, even more control coming out here from TNC. Better chances for Young God to leverage his 1v1 up against the opposing core, although it shows up pretty early here.
He does. Young God is dropping low. He always has that armlet Satanic though. And they're just kind of posturing aggressively to force TNC out of the area, it seems. I mean, you've got Roshan back up in about 10 seconds. I imagine that is going to be the objective for both teams now. T1, they'll try to just kind of force their way into this Radiant Triangle. Just make sure TNC cannot get back in. They will have first dibs over the Roshan, which has now spawned up. Zephyr spots it out immediately, and you see T1. Right over, John. No problems here for T1 to try and get the stun ASAP. But there is a scan out though. TNC, you get spotted within that scan. That is going to make it to T1. Are playing a little bit more cautiously, but they are going to go for the smoke.
Vision Squall on the high ground, so it could look pretty angled
Radiant
on the approach.
That's down. Nowhere, Savage. Oh boy, that's a lot of damage on Play Hard. He's immediately gone. Now Bevy. Don't forget, he bought back earlier, so he will get the relocate out. Boy, oh boy, these supports. Just no chance of survival. Savage now does have the Daedalus up. I think it's back to the Roshan tempo around Morphling. It's Bevy. Well, eventually he was going to die. No chance of survival. Roshan will go the way of T1.
Contesting come true. The biggest play was really just getting all 5 heroes in with a relocate, with a blink up on DK, and without that IO, that's just not possible. So T1 get away with another free Aegis. And they've got the Daedalus up on Savage. His right click damage is just insane now, going for the Satanic next. So it looks like we won't be getting our Dark Willow form here, Mike, with the Ags. No Shadow Realm plays. Maybe they're just going to bank on it and Roshan if the game goes long enough with Young God.
Caught out. He's got the rage though. How far are you willing to try and chase down Young God? But with the Inkswan, the Shan's off on Play Hard. The answer is you're not going to chase him down.
Has fallen.
So they get the tier 2 mid tower, and Savage now gets right to work with that tier 3.
Radiant's
It's very
top
hard to
is
expect the
fortified.
defense to come out now from TNC. They are very low on buybacks at the moment. They might just have to watch this one go down. You do have the Ags up now at the very least on Yoe, but he's 20 seconds away from having the DK Dragon form up. Way to abuse that Aegis. They're going to make the jump in onto Young God and force out the rage. Young God being aggressive. They make the jump into the arena. enough time for that Black Dragon to be up now for Yoe. Lining is going to get stunned up, and there's your rolling thunder to come in and just kind of back him up. He's dropping very fast right now, and nobody's there to help him out.
Radiant's top tower is under
Got the
attack.
timber down. And it seems like they are successfully going to defend this mid-range.
Now there's no rolling thunder. They could wait out the dragon form, but you've still got Carl ready to go. You've got Arena. You have Savage with more ready to go as well. They can just kind of slow siege this if they want to on T1.
Savage is going to try again.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Is a little bit threatening with that your Cuckoo Timber there. Maybe you just kind of want to see them just locked in the base at the moment. And the NC1 will accept the fact that they are not going high ground yet. You still maintain a 15k net worth lead as well, so again, you don't really want to throw that back the way of TNC. Yoe, however, with this Dragon Form wearing off, you want to try and force a fight. It is 4v5 after all, so I suppose there's never been a better time. They are going to find nothing, at least for now.
That was an awkward play. They smoke out, they drop the ward under a sentry ops. So T1 immediately knows there's a smoke play, and they hold a high ground here in the bot jungle.
Very, very bad times here for TNC. It's play hard, gonna have his smoke broken. Xiao Yu, thinking about the rolling thunder, but he's been fouled up. Don't make the jump in. On the Savage, he is not straight dropping at the moment, but it won't matter. He is still alive, and Xiao Yu's the one to drop. First round now is gonna be out on Young, who has no range available to Savage. We'll get right to work. That'll be Young God gone. That'll be Febby gone. Savage, he just plays to the edge with his HP. He had the Aegis up the whole time anyway.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
And TNC, again, that whole move out. The smoke play would have worked out, but they dropped that ward. It's taken out by Savage. That lets TNC know where they went wrong, and with those kills, they can go high ground. I mean, there's no buyback on their life stealer, these are really damage here, and it looks like they might actually gun for tier 4s. Like, Carl's in position, playing with a bulwark, showing off what they can do, and yeah, Savage goes for it.
Well, why the hell not? Hardly any buybacks available here for TNC. At least you don't have Young God. That's the main one you need right now. T1, they're going to force out the Xiao Yu buyback, and that'll be enough to go towards that top lane instead. Get the secondary lane of barracks.
Radiant's top barracks are under attack.
Be an easy round to be taken down as for TNC. They will not drop and force the defense, but now the T4s are going to come out. Savage, he wants the Young God buyback, but there isn't one available. So he's going to know to just go right after an Ancient. Not really much to be afraid of here. The small things they need to jump in. Yoe, it'll be alright for now, but now you with the long thunder away. Savage, he's just trying to focus down the Ancient. They've at least got the Ancient. The Aegis gone. They're onto that Dragon Knight now. It's just such a long stun duration. He cannot move, and Yoe, he's gone. He'll fight back. He'll try. Young God up now. They might be able to fight back. Factorina is down. They've got Xiao Yu again off the Pango. Invest to try and save. Relocate out. They've managed to save Xiao Yu's life. But can they save Yoe? Not quite. It's a dieback of medium in the GGC call. They have found the time to end this game number 2. T1. It was a much closer matchup, but I'd still say a very confident victory here for T1 as TNC. It does seem like they are improving game by game, but a pretty tough matchup against T1.